Off a beat-up Chevy when the old man handed me $5.20. The bills were crisp, fresh from the bank, and they felt wrong in my wet, chemical-stained hands. "Keep the change, son," he said, his voice carrying something more than kindness. He stood there in his faded John Deere cap and worn jeans, studying my face like he was looking at a ghost. Then he said the words that stopped my world. "You are Robert Harris, boy, are you not?" My hand froze on the bills. Nobody had mentioned my father's name in 20 years. At the car wash, I was just Jacob, the guy who worked the afternoon shift and did not complain when teenagers tipped with pocket change. My father had been dead since I was 12, buried in Maplewood Cemetery, with a modest headstone my mother could barely afford. "How did you know my father?" I asked, my voice catching on the words. The old man removed his cap, revealing thin gray hair and eyes that held decades of secrets. "Your dad and I built Central States freight lines together, started with 2 trucks and a shared dream. He owned 52% of the company." The spray nozzle slipped from my other hand, hitting the concrete with a clatter that echoed through the wash bay. Water pooled around my feet, soaking through my already damp work boots. "That is impossible," I said. "My father was a dispatcher. He died broke. My mother had to borrow money just to bury him." The man shook his head slowly, deliberately. "Robert owned 52% of a company that just sold for $355 million. When he died in 2001, his shares became yours. You have been a millionaire since you were 12 years old, Jacob. And somebody made damn sure you never knew it." My legs felt like they might give out. I gripped the side of the Chevy to stay upright. "Who are you, Lawrence Bennett? I was your father's partner and his best friend. I have been waiting 20 years to have this conversation." He pulled out his phone, showing me a news article dated last week. The headline read, "Central States Freight Lines acquired by North Star Logistics Group for $355 million. "This has to be some kind of mistake," I said, though even as the words left my mouth, something in my chest knew they were not true. Lawrence's expression darkened, and he glanced around the empty car wash as if checking for witnesses. "There is no mistake, son, but there is something else you need to know. Your ex-wife, Amanda, the one who left you for that millionaire boss of yours." My stomach clenched at the mention of her name. What about her? Her maiden name was not really Hoffman. Well, it was, but her mother was a Reed. "Carol Reed, making Amanda your second cousin." Lawrence's voice dropped lower. "The same Reed family that owns Reed Consolidated Services. The same family your wife ran to. They have been watching you your whole life, Jacob. They knew exactly who you were when they sent her to marry you." The $100 in my hand suddenly felt like blood money. "Andrew Reed is my cousin." "More than that," Lawrence said, his jaw tightening. "Andrew's grandfather, Gregory Reed, had your father murdered because Robert would not sell him the company. Those brake lines did not fail on their own. I have got 20 years of evidence locked in a safe along with recordings your father made before he died. He knew they were coming for him." The Chevy owner honked his horn, impatient for me to finish the job I had abandoned. But I could not move. I stood there in that wash bay water running everywhere, holding $5 $20 bills, while learning that everything about my life had been a lie. "They killed my father." I said the words coming out flat, emotionless, like my brain could not process the magnitude of what I was hearing. "And then they sent Amanda to make sure I never found out about the money." Lawrence nodded. "They have been playing a long game, Jacob. Keeping you poor, keeping you grateful for scraps, keeping you away from the truth. But I am dying now. Cancer has got me, and I will be damned if I meet your father in the next life without making this right." The car wash owner, Tom Sanders, stepped out of the office. "Jacob, we have customers waiting." Lawrence reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "McKenna and Associates. My lawyer, Can you leave right now? I am in the middle of a shift. Son, Lawrence said, putting his hand on my shoulder. You are worth $142 million after taxes. I think you can afford to walk away from a $16 an hour job. I looked down at my soaked uniform at the name tag that said Jacob in faded letters at the life I had been living while my birthright was stolen from me. Then I looked at Lawrence Bennett, this dying man who had kept a promise to my dead father for 2 decades. Let me clock out, I said. As I walked toward the office to tell Tom I was done, Lawrence called after me. Jacob, there is one more thing. Your father left you a letter. I have been keeping it safe all these years. He wanted you to read it when you learned the truth. I stopped and turned back. What does it say? Lawrence's eyes glistened with what might have been tears. That he loved you, that he was sorry, and that he knew this day would come. 6 months earlier, I had been an accounts manager at Reed Consolidated Services, making $50,000 a year, and thinking I was doing all right. Every morning I would wake up at 6:40 in our 2-bedroom rental on the north side of Kansas City shower with the rust-stained water that never got quite hot enough and brew coffee in the same machine Amanda and I had gotten as a wedding gift 6 years ago. Amanda would still be asleep when I left her auburn hair spread across the pillow, one arm stretched toward my side of the bed even though I was already gone. I would kiss her forehead, careful not to wake her, and head out to my 2017 Ford Focus with the check engine light that never went off no matter how many times I got it fixed. The drive to Reed Consolidated Services took 38 minutes if traffic was good, 45 if there was construction on Highway 19 and Highway 47. I would listen to sports radio and drink my coffee from a travel mug with "World's Best Husband" printed on the side, a Valentine's Day gift from Amanda 3 years back when we still meant it. My cubicle was on the 3rd floor, 7th row, back between Cheryl Adams, who chewed gum too loud, and Mark Fulton, who heated fish in the microwave every Friday. I had a photo of Amanda and me at Yosemite Falls Overlook on my desk, her laughing at something I had said back when I could still make her laugh. Next to it sat a stress ball shaped like a globe and a motivational calendar my mother had given me that said things like, "Success is a journey, not a destination." Morning Jacob Andrew Reed would say when he did his morning walkthrough, which happened maybe once a week. He was 38, inherited the company from his father, and wore suits that cost more than I made in 3 months. "How is that Peterson account going?" "Closed it yesterday." "Mr. Reed," I would tell him. 3-year contract extension." "Good man. Keep it up." Then he would move on, already forgetting I existed before he reached the next cubicle. Amanda worked as an event coordinator for Premier Event Collective downtown. She had started there 2 years ago, said it was her dream job, planning galas and corporate events for Kansas City's wealthiest companies. Sometimes Reed Consolidated Services would hire her firm, and she would come home excited about the appetizer selections or the floral arrangements that cost more than our rent. "You should see how these people live, Jacob," she would say over dinner. Usually something simple I had picked up from Harvest Lane Market on the way home. Andrew Reed's house has an indoor pool. Indoor Jacob in Missouri. "We are doing fine," I would tell her, though fine was stretching it. After rent car payments, student loans, and my mother's nursing home contributions, we had maybe $240 left each month if we were careful. My sister Melody had just bought a 4-bedroom in Brookside Ridge. Amanda would counter pushing her food around her plate. Her husband, Kyle, started his own consulting firm. He is only 35. Good for Kyle, I would say, trying not to sound bitter. I am not comparing, she would insist, though she was. I just think you could do more. Ask for a raise. Apply somewhere else. Show some ambition. The truth was, I thought I was ambitious. I had grown up with nothing after my father died. My mother, Susan, had worked 2 jobs just to keep our apartment. I had started working at 14 stocking shelves at Kroger, saving every penny for college. I had gotten my degree at night school while working full-time at a warehouse. Having a desk job, a steady paycheck, health insurance that covered most things. That felt like I had made it. Every Sunday, I drove out to Silver Pines Care Center to visit my mother. The dementia had started 3 years ago, early onset, the doctor said. Sometimes she knew me. Sometimes she called me Robert and asked about the trucks. "The trucks are fine, Mom." I would tell her, not understanding what she meant, but playing along because it seemed to calm her. "Good. You and Lawrence worked so hard for those trucks. Do not let anyone take them away." "I will not," I would promise, assuming it was just confused memories from when my father worked at the trucking depot. The nursing home cost $4,100 a month. Insurance covered some. I covered what I could, and somehow the rest always got paid. I had assumed it was some state program or charity fund. I never questioned it because I was too grateful to risk losing it by asking questions. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. The way Andrew always kept tabs on me despite having 1,200 employees. The way Amanda had pursued me at that company mixer where we met, laughing too hard at my jokes, touching my arm, asking for my number, the way her family always asked probing questions about my mother, my father, whether I had ever looked into genealogy or family history. "You should leave the past in the past," Carol's mother had said once at dinner. "Some stones are better left unturned." I thought she was being philosophical. Now I know she was giving orders. The beginning of the end came during the company Christmas party on December 15th. Amanda had planned it through her company Premier Event Collective, and she had gone all out. The Magnolia Grand Hotel ballroom looked like something from a movie. Ice sculptures of swans, champagne fountains that never ran dry, little gold lights wrapped around every column. She had been working on it for months, staying late at her office, coming home with fabric samples and menu cards spread across our dining table. "This has to be perfect, Jacob," she had said the night before. "Andrew specifically requested me for this event. This could change everything for us." She wore a red dress that night that I had never seen before. When I asked about it, she said Premier Event Collective had given her a clothing allowance for the event. The dress hugged her body perfectly, and the diamond earrings she wore caught the light every time she moved. I did not ask about those because I was afraid of the answer. Andrew Reed walked in wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than my car, and the room shifted toward him like planets orbiting the sun. He made his rounds, shaking hands, slapping backs, playing the gracious host. When he reached us, his hand lingered on Amanda's bare shoulder. "Magnificent job, Amanda," he said, his thumb making a small circle on her skin. "Everything is absolutely perfect." "Thank you, Mr. Reed," she replied. But she did not call him Mr. Reed the way I did. Her voice had something else in it, something intimate. I stood there holding 2 glasses of champagne while they talked about ice sculptures and catering choices, watching his hand on her shoulder, watching her lean into his touch, just slightly, just enough that anyone else might miss it, but the husband could not. The party went on. I made small talk with coworkers, ate shrimp that probably cost $22 a pound, and watched my wife and my boss from across the room. They kept finding each other. He would refill her champagne glass without her asking. She would laugh at something he said, her head thrown back, her hand briefly touching his chest. "They seem friendly," Mark from accounting said, following my gaze. "She planned the party." I explained, though I was not sure who I was trying to convince. Around 11, I could not find Amanda. I checked the ballroom, the lobby, even called her phone. Nothing. A waiter mentioned seeing her go toward the parking garage with someone. My stomach turned to lead as I walked through the cold December air to the garage, my breath forming clouds in front of me. I found them by his Lamborghini. They were not touching, but they were standing too close. The kind of close that happens right before or right after. Amanda's lipstick was smudged. "Jacob," she said, when she saw me, her voice flat, not even trying to sound surprised or guilty. "We were just discussing next year's events," Andrew said, straightening his bow tie. In the parking garage, my voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. It was loud inside. Amanda said, crossing her arms against the cold or against my stare. I looked between them. These two people who thought I was stupid enough to believe them. I am going home. Jacob, wait. Amanda called, but she did not follow. 2 weeks later, January 2nd. I came home early with what felt like the flu. My head was pounding. My throat was raw, and Tom had sent me home from my half-day Saturday shift at Reed Consolidated Services. I pulled into our driveway and saw Andrew's white Lamborghini parked in my spot. I sat in my Ford Focus for a full minute engine running, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Maybe he was dropping off work for Amanda to review. Maybe there was an emergency event that needed planning. Maybe I was still at the office, fevered, dreaming at my desk, but I knew the same way I had known at the Christmas party. The same way I had probably known for months, but refused to see it. I walked through my own front door like a stranger. They were in the living room on the couch we had bought together at Value City Furniture, the one we had argued about because Amanda wanted leather, but we could only afford fabric. Andrew's shirt was unbuttoned. Amanda's shoes were on the floor. Jacob, Amanda said, not scrambling, not panicking, just calmly adjusting her skirt like I had interrupted a business meeting. "You are supposed to be at work." "I am sick," I said, though suddenly I felt perfectly healthy, perfectly clear. Andrew buttoned his shirt with the casual efficiency of a man who had been caught before and would be caught again and did not particularly care either way. "Harris," he said, like we were passing in the office hallway. "You should check your email. My email termination notice restructuring. Your position has been eliminated." He picked up his jacket from my chair, my favorite chair where I watched Browns games and fell asleep with books on my chest. "Effective immediately, security will have your things boxed up by Monday." He walked past me, patted my shoulder like he was consoling me about a death in the family, and left. His cologne lingered in my house, marking territory. Amanda stood up, smoothed her skirt, and walked to our bedroom. I followed, watched her pull out a suitcase I did not know we owned, watched her fold clothes with mechanical precision. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" She did not look at me, just kept folding packing, erasing herself from our life. "It matters to me." She stopped, turned, and, for the first time in months, really looked at me. Since September, since I started planning that party and realized I was helping someone live the life I should have. "I loved you," I said, hating how past tense it already sounded. "Love does not pay bills, Jacob. Love does not buy houses or cars or futures. You will never be anything more than what you are, a nobody from nowhere, just like your father." 3 months into the car wash job, I developed a routine that kept me from thinking too much. Arrive at 7 when the morning was still cold and the concrete still wet from the overnight sprinklers. Check the soap levels, test the pressure washers, count the register. By 7:30, the first customers would arrive, usually contractors heading to job sites, their trucks caked with yesterday's mud. Express Wash on Highway 19 was not much, just 3 bays and a waiting area that smelled like old coffee and tire shine. Tom Sanders, the owner, was decent enough. He did not ask questions about why a guy with a college degree was washing cars, and I did not tell him about the life I had lost. 16 an hour plus tips meant I could afford my studio apartment above Sakura Terrace, keep gas in my Ford Focus, and buy groceries if I stuck to generic brands. My hands had changed in those 3 months. The soft office hands that had typed emails and shuffled papers were now rough, chemical burned, permanently stained with grease that no amount of pumice soap could remove. I had lost 15 pounds because I could not afford to eat much and because the work was more physical than sitting at a desk. My back hurt constantly from bending over wheels, reaching across hoods, scrubbing stubborn bird droppings off windshields. "You are that guy, are you not a customer?" had asked once. A woman who recognized me from Reed Consolidated Services. "You used to work accounts." Different person, I had lied, focusing on her hubcaps until she stopped talking. My mother's condition had worsened. When I visited Silver Pines Care Center on Sundays, she rarely recognized me anymore. She would talk to Robert, my dead father, carrying on whole conversations with empty air while I sat beside her bed holding her hand. "The trucks are ready," she would say. Lawrence called. "The trucks are ready." "That is good, Mom," I would answer, playing along with whatever world she was living in. My Uncle Raymond had called again last week. "Jacob, this is ridiculous. You have a degree. Come work with me in Topeka. I will start you at 20 an hour." "I am fine," I had insisted, though fine had become a word that meant nothing. "You are not fine. You are washing cars. Your ex-wife is all over Instagram with that rich prick, and you are washing cars." He was right. I had made the mistake of looking at Amanda's social media once. Her and Andrew on a beach in Turks and Caicos. Her and Andrew at a charity gala. Her new Tesla. Her new jewelry, the life she had always wanted, bought with money that should have made her sick to spend. That Tuesday started like any other. Gray sky, threatening rain temperature hovering around 45, the kind of March day in Missouri that made you forget spring was supposedly coming. I was running the register while Luis Martinez handled the washing when the old Buick pulled in, rust eating through the wheel well's muffler, hanging low enough to scrape on our entrance ramp. The driver got out slowly like his joints hurt, wearing a John Deere cap that had seen better decades, and jeans with honest wear, not the kind you buy pre-ripped at the mall. He was maybe 75, with the kind of weathered face that spoke of outdoor work and earned wrinkles. "Full wash, son," he said, handing me a 20 that had been folded into a tight square in his wallet. "Pull into Bay 2, I told him. "I will be right there." I grabbed the pressure washer and started on his car, beginning with the wheels, like always working my way up. The Buick was in worse shape up close. Rust had eaten through parts of the quarter panels, and the vinyl roof was peeling like sunburned skin, but it was clean inside, carefully maintained, with one of those tree-shaped air fresheners hanging from the mirror and a rosary wrapped around it. The old man did not wait inside like most customers. He stood in the bay, watching me work his hands in his pockets, his eyes following my movements with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. "You remind me of someone," he called over the sound of the spray. "Get that a lot," I replied, not really interested in conversation. People always thought I looked like their nephew or their neighbor's kid or someone from their church. "Robert Harris," he said. The name hit me like cold water. I shut off the pressure washer, the sudden silence filling the bay. That was my father. The old man removed his cap, revealing thin gray hair that he smoothed back with one gnarled hand. His eyes, I noticed now, were bright blue and sharp, not clouded with age, like I had expected. "I will be damned. You are little Jacob Harris. Do I know you?" I asked, though nothing about him seemed familiar. "You would not remember me. You were just a boy when I last saw you, maybe 5 or 6, running around your daddy's office playing with toy trucks while we worked on contracts." He extended his hand. "Lawrence Bennett, your father and I were partners." I shook his hand automatically, his grip stronger than I had expected. "Partners in what?" "My father was a dispatcher at a trucking company." Lawrence's face changed something between sadness and anger, flickering across his features. "Is that what they told you? That is what Susan told you. That is what he was," I said, defensive of my father's memory, even though I barely had any memories to defend. "Son, we need to talk." Lawrence looked around the empty bay, then back at me. "But first, let me ask you something that has been bothering me for 15 years. Your mother's nursing home bills at Silver Pines Care Center run about $4,100 a month. You ever wonder who pays the difference between what you can afford and what they cost?" The question knocked the wind out of me. I'd always assumed there was some program, some charity, some system I did not understand. Medicare. Lawrence shook his head slowly. I have been paying those bills since Susan went in. Made a promise to your father the week before he died. He knew something might happen to him. Asked me to look after you both if it did. Why would you do that for a dispatcher? Because Robert Harris was not just a dispatcher, Jacob. He was my partner in Central States Freight Lines. We built that company from nothing. 2 trucks and a shared dream. Your father owned 52% of a business that just sold for $355 million. The law office of McKenna and Associates occupied the 3rd floor of a building in Liberty Hill that looked nothing like the places where millionaires conducted business in movies. No marble lobby, no executive assistant offering us sparkling water, just a plain waiting room with year-old magazines and a water cooler that gurgled every few minutes. Patricia McKenna herself was maybe 50, wearing a simple navy suit and reading glasses on a chain around her neck. Her office was organized chaos. Banker's boxes stacked along one wall, files covering every surface, a whiteboard with dates and names connected by red lines like a conspiracy theorist's dream. I have been waiting 20 years for this meeting, she said, pulling out a thick folder marked Harris Central States Freight in black marker. Your father was my first client when I started practicing. I was 28, fresh out of Ohio State, and he walked in with Lawrence asking me to help structure their partnership. She laid out document after document on her conference table, each one tagged with colored tabs and notes in precise handwriting. Articles of incorporation from 1995, banking records, contracts with shipping companies. And there on every single one my father's signature, Robert M. Harris, 52% owner. We started with 2 trucks, Lawrence explained, picking up a faded photograph from the folder. It showed him and my father, both young, standing in front of a red Peterbilt with Central States Freight Lines painted on the door. My father was grinning his arm around Lawrence's shoulders. Your dad had been saving for years. I had some inheritance money. We pulled everything, bought those trucks, and started hauling automotive parts between St. Louis and Kansas City. Patricia pulled out a ledger, pages yellow with age. By 2000, they had 320 trucks, 44 distribution contracts, and annual revenue of $62 million. Your father was worth approximately $15 million on paper when he died. Then where did it all go? I asked, my voice barely working. That is where this gets complicated, Patricia said. She pulled out another file. This one marked Reed Family Litigation Archive, 2001-2004 in red ink. Your mother's maiden name was Reed. Her father, Gregory Reed, owned Reed Logistics, which later became Reed Consolidated Services. He had been trying to buy out Central States Freight Lines for years. She showed me offer letters, each one rejected. Each rejection followed by increasingly aggressive proposals. The final one, dated 2 weeks before my father's death, was for $20 million. Robert refused every offer, Lawrence said. He knew Gregory was corrupt, knew the money came from mob connections in Cleveland. Your father was building something clean, something legitimate. He would not sell to them. Patricia pulled out a police report. October 15th, 2001. Robert Harris' truck went off Highway 47 near Jefferson City. Brake line failure. He was hauling steel beams. The weight and speed meant he had no chance. But here is what the official investigation missed, Lawrence said, pulling out his phone. He played an audio recording, scratchy but clear enough. My father's voice filled the room, younger than I remembered, but unmistakably him. Lawrence, if something happens to me, it will not be an accident. Gregory Reed came to my house last night, told me I could sell or my family would suffer. I am recording everything now. I have cameras at the office. If they come for me, there will be proof. Patricia showed me enhanced photos from a security camera. This is Gregory Reed's enforcer at your father's truck the night before the accident. This is him underneath the vehicle for 37 minutes. This is him leaving with what forensics now confirms was brake fluid on his clothing. My hands were shaking. You have had this for 20 years. We tried to use it, Patricia said. But Gregory Reed had judges, police commissioners, even state senators in his pocket. Every time we filed the case, got dismissed. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses recanted. Then Gregory had a stroke in 2010 and his son took over, eventually passing it to Andrew. Andrew knew. Lawrence nodded. The whole family knew. But here is what really makes me sick, Jacob. They did not just steal your inheritance. They wanted to make sure you never came looking for it. Patricia pulled out another photo. This one was recent from some society event. Andrew Reed in a tuxedo, and beside him a woman I recognized as Amanda's mother. Carol Reed, the lawyer, said Gregory's daughter, Amanda's mother. They have been planning this for years, Jacob. When you started working at Reed Consolidated Services, they panicked. You were too close, so they sent Amanda. The marriage was planned, every bit of it. Keep you controlled, keep you distracted, keep you thinking you were lucky just to have a regular job and a pretty wife. But then Amanda actually fell for Andrew. Greed overtook family loyalty. Lawrence pulled out his phone again, showing me a news article. Last week, I finally sold Central States Freight Lines to North Star Logistics Group $355 million. Your father's 52% after taxes and fees comes to approximately $142 million. Patricia pushed a check across the table. Pay to the order of Jacob Robert Harris, $11 million. This is an initial distribution, she said. The rest will transfer once the sale completes. But Jacob, there is more. With the evidence we have, criminal charges are being filed. The FBI has been building a criminal racketeering case against the Reed family for years. Your father's murder is the missing piece they needed. I stared at the check, at all those zeros at my name above them. What about my mother? Does she know? Lawrence's expression softened. Susan knew Robert had some kind of business, but not the details. He kept her separate from it all, trying to protect her. The dementia started before we could tell her the truth. But she keeps talking about trucks, I said. She mentions you, Lawrence. Some part of her knows. Maybe Lawrence said. Or maybe she just loved him enough to hold on to whatever pieces she could, even if she did not understand them. Patricia leaned forward. Jacob Andrew Reed and his father are going to prison. Your wife, ex-wife, she is going to lose everything. The family fortune was built on crime, and it is all being seized. You are not just getting justice. You are getting everything they thought they stole from you. That was 6 weeks ago. The check cleared in 3 days. And the first thing I did was walk back into Express Wash on Highway 19 with a cashier's check for $200,000. Tom was in his office going over the books, probably figuring out how to make payroll. I want to buy the car wash, I said, placing the check on his desk. He laughed, then saw I was not joking, then saw the check. Jacob, what the hell is this? My inheritance finally came through. I want to buy this place, keep all the employees and give everyone a raise. You can retire to Florida like you have been talking about. Tom sold me the business for $150 and threw in his truck. I gave Luis, who had been working there 13 years, a promotion to manager and doubled his salary. Every employee got a $5 an hour raise and health insurance that actually covered things. The second thing I did was move my mother to Evergreen Memory Residence, the best memory care facility in Missouri. Her room overlooked a garden where she could watch birds at the feeders. On her good days, which were becoming rarer, she would hold my hand and smile. The trucks came back, she said one afternoon, her eyes suddenly clear. Robert said they would come back to you. They did, Mom. Everything came back. He was so scared of my family, she whispered. Said they were vipers in the grass. I should have listened. I should have protected you. You did protect me, I told her. You kept me away from them as long as you could. The criminal trial started last month. Andrew Reed in handcuffs made the front page of the Dispatch. The FBI had frozen all Reed Consolidated Services assets. 40 years of money laundering, racketeering, and murder. It was all coming out. Gregory Reed, 91, and in a wheelchair, was wheeled into court to face charges for my father's murder. Amanda called me from a blocked number 2 weeks ago. Jacob, please. I need help. They have taken everything. My accounts are frozen. I cannot even afford a lawyer. You knew, I said. You knew who I was when you married me. I did not know about the murder, Jacob. I swear. I did not know they killed your father. I thought it was just about money. Just about money. You married me to keep me from my inheritance. There was silence on the line, then a sob. I did love you at first before they told me who you were. That first year before I knew it was real. Nothing about us was real, Amanda. I am staying with my sister, sleeping on her couch. The girl who was going to have everything is now begging for grocery money. Are you happy I am not anything about you anymore? I said, and hung up. Lawrence died last Tuesday at 4 in the morning. His daughter Hannah called me, said he had been asking for me at the end. The funeral was small, maybe 50 people who remembered when Central States Freight Lines was just 2 guys with a dream. I gave the eulogy. Lawrence Bennett kept a promise for 20 years, I said, looking at the flower-covered casket. He could have kept all the money. No one would have known. Instead, he lived modestly, paid my mother's bills, and waited for the right moment to give me back my life. He was my father's friend, and in the end, he was mine too. Yesterday I filed the paperwork for Harris Freight Lines. I bought 53 trucks, all red like that first Peterbilt in the old photo. My Uncle Raymond is running our Topeka division. We are hiring drivers, dispatchers, mechanics. Good jobs with real benefits. A kid came into the car wash this morning, maybe 22, driving a beat-up Corolla. How much for the basic wash, he asked, counting crumpled ones. On the house, I told him. You looking for work everywhere? Cannot find anything without experience? I handed him a card for Harris Freight Lines. We are hiring dispatchers. $60,000 to start. Full benefits. No experience needed. We will train you. His eyes went wide. Are you serious? Everyone deserves a chance to be something, I said as he drove away. I stood in the bay where Lawrence had found me, where my life had changed with 5 $20 bills and the truth. The afternoon sun caught the water droplets on the concrete, turning them into tiny rainbows. From nobody to somebody in 6 weeks. But really, I had been somebody all along. My father had made sure of that. The letter he had left me, the one Lawrence had kept safe, was simple. Jacob, if you are reading this, then Lawrence kept his promise and the truth is finally yours. I am sorry I could not be there to watch you grow up. I am sorry for the lies that were necessary to keep you safe. But I am not sorry for building something real, something they could not corrupt. You were always my greatest accomplishment. Not the company, not the money. You. Whatever you do with what I have left, you do it honestly. Build something that matters. Be the man they were afraid you would become. Love, Dad. Tomorrow I am breaking ground on the Robert Harris Memorial Trade Institute. Free training for kids aging out of foster care who want to learn trucking mechanics or logistics. My father built something from nothing and they killed him for it. But they could not kill what he built, and they could not kill what he left in me. The truth about money is that it is just paper until you do something with it. The truth about revenge is that the best kind is a life well lived. And the truth about starting over is that sometimes you are not starting over at all. You are just finally starting from where you were always supposed to be. My name is Jacob Harris. My father was Robert Harris. He was not nobody and neither am I. And if you found this story interesting, if it made you think about the secrets that might be hiding in your own family history, or the people who might be keeping you from your truth, then please leave a comment below. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their current situation is not their final destination. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more stories about ordinary people discovering extraordinary truths. Because sometimes the biggest plot twist is not in movies or books.